Good morning, ladies and gents. I'm Melissa Sodetse. I'm your host from Unique Speaker Bureau International. If you are joining us for the very first time, a warm welcome to the Ultimate Workplace Transformation Series with USBI. And if you've been here more than once, welcome back. Now, because we follow trends and we listen to your requests, today we are diving into the world of AI and the workforce. And I'm excited to introduce our phenomenal speaker, Fiona Passantino. Fiona is a rising star in the HR and communication universe, empowering leaders and teams to reach new heights through engagement, AI integration, and a dash of inspiration. As a globally acclaimed trainer, author, facilitator, and coach, Fiona has worked with top organizations worldwide, sparking awareness, joy, and future-proofing workplaces. She's a passionate content creator, UK Business Book award-winning author of comic books for executives, and host of the popular podcast Working Humans. Her latest book, AI Powered Professional, is out now. Fiona's expertise shines bright in her exploration of the deskless workforce and the transformative power of AI. Get ready to be inspired, ladies and gentlemen. But before we begin, a quick reminder to keep your mics on mute. And of course, you are welcome to pop your questions and your comments in the chat box so we can address them right at the end of the session. Thank you so much for joining us. Without further ado, let's welcome Fiona. Yo, I used to grind slow, analog brain, lost in the workflow, stuck in the rain. Then I cracked open that Fiona book.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am delighted to be here. Thank you so much, Melissa, for this great introduction. I am coming to you from The Hague. So a little bit rainy out here, a little bit kind of windy. Summer is definitely long gone. If you have an interesting city or not an interesting city, just go ahead and pop it in the chat where you're from, where you're logging in from. I know we have a lot of people here from Asia, from definitely the African continent, Europe as well. Maybe there's some very early risers in the United States, but go ahead and pop it in. I see Johannesburg is there. I'm just going to go ahead and pop my own in there as well. As people are getting settled, I am just delighted to talk to you about a topic that I think is being undersold here, and that is deskless workers and AI. I've been an AI specialist for quite some time, and it's definitely a segment that is overlooked. So I'm really excited to share about that today. But first, a little bit about you. Who are you, and why do you do what you do? Obviously, you are a people leader. You're here to do a job to take care of the people in your care. So you are in charge usually of a working community. Even if it's a small one, if it's a team of 5, this is still who you are. You are in charge of the people in your care. Now, there's another whole set of workers. I'm here to talk about someone else. These are people that you don't often see. They are doing the kinds of jobs that are invisible. They're the ones that drive the trucks, that receive the shipments, that are on the ground, that are making sure that the business gets done. They are the ones that deal with the customers. Often these are not easy people to deal with. They are the ones that take the brunt of customers' anger when it has nothing to do with them. And I don't know if you're guilty of this. I am certainly getting angry at the poor people behind the desk who have to deal with a fault of nothing of their own. They're the ones who clean out the system. This is a group that we're talking about 2.7 billion people. This is 80% of the working force in the world. And these are the guys, they ship, they haul, they repair, they sell, they are our front lines. And these are the people that I'm going to be talking about today. So my name is Fiona Passantino. I deal with AI, culture, communication, engagement. I spent many, many years in corporate, in internal communications, kind of like joining all the people, all the members of the working community from the top level to the people who are out in the field. So I really understand this kind of dynamic that keeps a working community together. I became an AI expert about 4 years ago. Before it was cool, it was like this weird niche thing. And And ever since then, I've been fascinated with how AI is going to start in our working world. And it's sort of almost more of a colleague than a tool. And now we're seeing with the agentic workflow, we're seeing that it is really starting to get to be that colleague. So I wrote a book, as Millicent kindly said. I also have this podcast called Working Humans. And what's very important is the comic book aspect. I spend a lot of time sitting in cafes drawing comic books about the working world. Comics are not a joke. This sounds like a funny thing to say. It's strategic. If we're laughing, we're learning. And if we're laughing, we're also remembering and we're open to new information. And this is kind of my vehicle for teaching and training about AI in the workplace. It works most of the time. Anyway, if you go ahead and think in your chat, how many people are working in your organization? I'm going to just start right now. I have one person in my organization, and how many people are deskless? Well, I'm also deskless, so I'm going to go ahead and put one for myself in there. Every organization is different. The percentages range. How do you know how many are, deskless or not? But when you're out there, about 255 billion euro is spent on productivity software every year. Only 1% of that is spent on the deskless employee. And yet 70% of those people who work in these deskless jobs believe that technology will help them do their jobs better. I see that Orla has 16 people in the working community. And then Orla, what percentage of that is deskless? Do you happen to know that? Okay. Now, given all of this, we see some other really surprising numbers with this community as well. We see that 25%, so about a quarter of this community, is actively disengaged. This is actually quite high. And if you compare, I think the average right now is 32% for desk bound. So this is a very, very high percentage. The global turnover is extremely high. So 20% of people working at desks are leaving their jobs every year, whereas 36% of deskless workers are leaving. It partially has to do with how hard the jobs are, with the age demographic and other circumstances, but this is part of what we're dealing with. There also seems to be a bit of a trust disconnect with leadership. So when you look at executives, very high percentage of trust for that group. The people who are working at desks, also quite high, 81%. And the lowest amount of trust or levels of trust is seen in this deskless group. So again, why is this? Well, these are stressful jobs. The pay is also lower. People are often working alone. This separation with your working community definitely does lead to lack of engagement and your willingness to leave a job more quickly. You also have full exposure to customers. And as we all know, they can also be difficult. Your shifts can be irregular. You often work on night shifts, which means you're separated from your support group, your family. You might have kids to take care of. This makes it more stressful, a more difficult environment. Now, the good news about this community is that just about everyone has a smartphone. Everybody has one of these in their hands. And this is the key to how to get this community to a deskless AI integrated working flow. So when we're doing our AI training, we generally focus on the desk bound. We focus on the people that are answering emails, writing reports, creating PowerPoint presentations, but then we kind of leave the people doing the physical jobs out in the field to kind of do everything manually. We see that communication is still done with physical posters that are often out of date. We assume that some admin will happen at some desk somewhere, but these people often don't have the ability to sit at a desk and carry out the admin. So what do? You just ignore them. And this is actually quite normal. Now, what I like to do is create training for these groups. And it's kind of my obsession this fall. I've done about 2 years worth of training for desk-bound people. And when I work with the desk-bound, it's people are extremely engaged and they take up the tools right away because they see that it has an impact on their daily work. But now when I work with deskless people, they are absolutely ravenous for AI tools. And when I thought people were engaged in this topic before, I was blown away by how quickly the uptake was in this tool. So what I generally do is I talk about the phone. So basically, I use either GTP or Copilot. Either one is fine. Copilot is usually the tool of choice for most organizations because everybody uses Microsoft and it's all over the place. So I will just go ahead and turn on my Copilot with us and start talking to it right away. So, hello, can you hear me? Let's see if we can get somebody to go here. All right. And we're on. All right, good. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm actually speaking to my AI companion right now. And what I like about this is as I'm going along, it's taking a record of everything that I'm saying. So here you have my screen. Obviously, I can't share the screen, but as I go, I'm getting a record of what's going on and I'm actively engaging with my intelligence. So pretty soon I'm going to have some emails starting up here. The voice activated workflow is a little bit different from the desk flow. When you are writing with your desktop, you're typing. This slows us down. It makes it, let's say, a little bit longer and cumbersome, but when you're activating by voice, it's much faster. You have to speak, in a more, let's say, flowing, fluid human way. And the AI needs some time to adjust. But this is a workflow that particularly younger workers are starting to adjust to more and more. If you look at the typical desk flow on the left-hand side, the sort of the darker screen there, you see that it is a binary conversation that you have with your intelligence, your AI intelligence. You have a desk-bound workflow. You type a brainstorm in, let's say you type a query in, you get your AI response. It's all written down. You read it, you type back a response, you get another generated query back, and it goes back and forth in this way, one to one to one. Now, the voice-activated workflow is actually two AI brains at the same time and one human brain all working together. And for some people, this is maybe too much input, but I find once you get used to it, it's an extraordinary way to work. So this is one way how the desk-bound among us can get involved in the voice-activated flow. So when you're looking at your screen, you basically see the same interface as when you have a desk-bound flow. So you have the same kind of memory, which will allow you to start a new chat. You have your same prompt window, which is where the magic happens. You can upload information, you can upload materials, and you can basically hit that little microphone, which will start recording your session. There we go. And that's all it takes. And people can start experimenting with it right away. When you think of your working community, you will always have a section of your community that is going to be the early adopters, the late adopters, and the people who say, heck no, I am not doing this at all. I don't want it. And this is the same with every community, full stop. Now, when you look at who falls along this spectrum of people who are early or late adopters, you're going to have your, the people who want to learn more about AI tools right at the front there. You're going to have this large group who is maybe not quite doing it, but they kind of feel like they have to. But then where does leadership fall? Very funny, interestingly enough, leadership falls in that largest bubble. So towards the lower end of the adoption spectrum. And this is often why there is not a lot of structured training, let alone for desk-bound or deskless groups. Now, you have a group of people in your organization that are going to be the early adopters. That's that kind of salmon-colored group there. And this is where you're going to be investing your training money. Also, that kind of laggard group. So these are the two areas of focus that you need. Because what's going to happen, you see this gulf start to emerge in your working community, where the people on the analog side are going to slip away and not learn the tools as quickly. And then you're going to see this kind of the salmon colored group that is your early adopters. They are going to leave the organization and go somewhere else where they will get AI support. Now, that's why I circled those two groups. You focus your training budget on those two groups. Keep that early adopter group there. Make them into your AI CIO, which is your center of excellence within your organization, which will also become your coaches, your trainers, and so on. So the group that is in the back, this is where your deskless group is going to fall as well. So when you're focusing your training money, you're focusing on the group at the very front, the early adopters. These are the people that you basically take on as your coaches, your trainers for the rest of the community. They have a role to play, but then you focus at the same time on that back half, which means leadership and deskless. So that's basically where I am putting all my money. I'm putting my bets on that right now. So we can go ahead. Yeah, that's the internal coaches. When we think about all the possible use cases for deskless AI use, what can you possibly do with your phone on the road? Now, I know you can't see this when I'm in a live training. I will be showing you as I go the kind of interactions that I'm getting with my phone that are quite interesting. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a photo from my phone of everything that's going on around me. And I'm going to ask my AI agent here, what do you see in this photo? Please give me a description and give me the intelligence that you find. All right. So he's working away. I'm just going to put this down for a while I move on and see what it comes up with. And imagine if you're deskless and you come up with some kind of a situation out in the field that needs your attention, but you don't have the intelligence with you, let's say, that desk-bound people do, to answer that question. So I'm just going to let this run in the background while we go and look at use cases. The first thing is people can do hands-free reporting. When you are on the move, you often have to file reports. Let's say you're going to visit a client. Let's say you have to do a maintenance run. You have to often take the information. When you're sitting with a client, remember it. Get back in your vehicle, drive back to your desk, drive back to, the mothership, the headquarters. And then while you're forgetting in traffic and you have road rage and you stop to get a coffee or whatever, you've forgotten half of what you dealt with. But then you arrive at the mothership and you say, here's my report. Well, it's not fresh anymore. If you're allowed to do this kind of hands-free reporting on the move using your voice-activated AI, you simply speak it into the phone and the phone will condense it into a nice report that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, maybe bullet points, offer whatever kind of external intelligence is needed to subsidize that report, and then you're done. You press send. That's a nice crafted email that you can send straight to headquarters, and you're done. You can just move on with the next one. It makes you more efficient, but more importantly than that, it makes your life better. If you are spared these kinds of tasks that you don't like to do, like sitting down at your desk and typing up a boring report of a client visit, and you can say to your people, hey, guess what? All you have to do is speak in what you saw and what you did with this client, and you don't have to fill in this long, boring, cumbersome form when you get back to headquarters. They're going to say, I'm in. Let's do this. What do I need to know to make that part of my workflow? The second thing that we come across on the road is that people don't often speak our language. Very often, especially here in Europe, I'm a native speaker, but most of the people I work with are speaking English as a second language, very often a third language. I also am fluent in Dutch, somewhat fluent in German and Italian, and very often I'm in situations where I really don't understand everything that's being said. So having a tool that will translate for me in real time when I'm dealing with a customer is priceless. It makes me feel that instant bit of connection. I'm not feeling stupid. Well, although there are some arguments for that, I feel like I have a human connection with the customer. I'm not missing anything. And we're not focused on the fact that we don't understand each other. We're focused on the task at hand. So real-time connection, real-time translation. This is something that you have right away on your phone. The third thing is you get AI vision and support on the go. If you are confronted with something that's not working, you have machinery, you have real-time tech support. You take a photo, you load it in, you ask your question, and you see what intelligence you get. So I'm now going to turn back to that exact query that I did about 5 minutes ago, and I'm just going to read you off what my lovely AI voice-activated intelligence told me. First of all, my AI said, "Thank you for sharing the photo. Here's what I infer for it." Well, thank you for thanking me. Here we go. So basically, it is saying the centerpiece is an Apple iMac with a pink stand. Very good. The screen shows multiple open applications and browser tab. All right. So looks like we have the surroundings. They're telling me what the surroundings are, and looks like it's sharing a webinar. I am multitasking. I have a personalized setup. The lighting is created in such a way to facilitate a professional webinar. That's true. Excellent. Very good. It is telling me that I have a number of people online and offline. Good. It doesn't give me numbers, but it's already sharing a lot of information here. It's telling me that there's an active chat involved. Yes, that is also true. It's asking me, would you like help organizing this workspace and analyzing some of the responses that are coming in? No, thank you. I don't need that at the moment, but it's already gathering enough intelligence just from this one quick photo that I took. I gave it no context whatsoever, and already it was able to infer all these different things just from that one photo. And it could have focused on anything. It could have focused on my houseplant that needs water and attention. It could have focused on the fact that I have a mess over here, but it didn't. It focused on what it felt it needed attention. So that's just a quick little demonstration. I do apologize for a webinar. It's a lot more fun when this is live. All right, another use case for this is you can ask for instructions. If you are faced with something that is a little bit difficult and you don't know what to do, you can ask the AI to give instructions right away. I am going to be closing pretty soon here, so when you have your questions ready to go, let me know. I'm going to give another 3 or 4 more minutes, and then I'm going to open up the floor for questions. So go ahead and type those in when you're ready. The next thing is you can get your shifts and your schedules done on the fly. AI is a much more powerful tool to speak in natural language what you're looking for, which will connect you to the headquarter to arrange you to swap a shift out if you need to right away. Instead of having to log into some kind of a cumbersome dashboard that you don't have the hands to do, because remember, you are driving a truck, you are operating machinery. You don't have time to sit down at a desk and say, I have no childcare, can somebody swap this shift? You need to be able to speak it and move on. All right, so I am going to skip through this very, very quickly. You can do this. You can also run AI checks for safety before you operate any kind of machinery. You can use AI to do training and onboarding for new joiners. You're able to do customer support right there on the fly. You're able to engage with coaching on the run. And it is a very nice tool for coaching when you just don't have the time to do it. So I'm going to close by asking the same question as I did when we started. Why do you do what you do? Chances are you're in charge of a working community, and you are responsible for their happiness, their joy at work, their effectiveness, and we want them to stay at their jobs and feel seen and feel heard and connected. So that is what I have for you today. Thank you so very much. And I would love to take your questions. All right. So Orla is saying, thank you for making life more efficient. Wonderful. Can you link your AI to do your emails? Yes, you can. We are not ready yet for AI to be answering our emails in person on the fly. At least I'm not. So I have not switched that toggle switch on that says, go ahead, AI, write my emails to my mother, please read these emails from my clients and write it. I'm not there yet. I need to be that human in the loop that says, you know what, summarize this email, write it for me, but I want to be the one to hit the play button and send it off. And I think that's a good place for us to stop. I think that's the place that humans need to still be engaged. We're not in a place yet where we're fully automating all of our human communication. I don't believe that is where we want to go as humans. I think that we need as much connection as possible. So if we are automating our emails incoming, summarizing what people are writing, and then we are at the same time having our AIs write and send off responses, where's the connection? Where am I having a human to human conversation? The answer is I'm not. The answer is I'm fully automating, and we are more separated, more isolated, more alone than before. So the answer is, sorry, it's a long answer to your question. The answer is yes, we have the technology to do that, but no, we are not doing it. We are not ready yet to do it. So we do have the tools, but we're not actually linking our AIs with our outbox. So here we go. Does having AI active on your phone not blur the boundaries between work and off time? Thank you so much, Orla. That's a great question. By the way, that ship has sailed. Those boundaries are long blurred. I just spent all day yesterday working, and I had no voice activation whatsoever. No, I believe that the blurring between life and work happens right here, between our ears. This is not because of our tools. This is not because of our lack of connection, let's say, to our schedules, or that we have too many devices going. This is our own responsibility as humans to say, I'm not working now. I'm switching this off. I'm going on mute. I'm putting my work phone on, off or on. So every new tool opens new challenges to working people. And I think it's going to be harder and harder for us to say no, but we're going to have to grow stronger and more resilient and protect those boundaries, because that's the key to our happiness. So Orla, excellent question. You're right. And I'm hoping that we are strong enough as humans to know those boundaries for ourselves. All right, let's see. How many other questions are out there? I am basically out of time. I have time for one more. So it says I2AI. Brian, can you explain a little bit what you mean by I2AI? Are you talking
All right. I pushed enter before I was finished. So are we not transferring our engagement from human to human to AI? Because as you say, these people are all deskless. They're all out there. They're still not engaging with anybody. They're still out there independently doing whatever they need to do. But now, instead of phoning somebody at the office and saying, listen, hi, can you help me with this or do this for me or whatever, they're saying to AI, help me. And AI is giving them an answer and they can resolve the problem. So actually, what we're doing is we're actually making people more insular, because now all of a sudden they're not engaging with humans. Now all of a sudden they're on their phone and they're saying on their phone, listen, I need you to help me with this, please, or remember this, please, so that I can, when I get back to the office, I don't have to think about it. I just hand him my piece of paper and say, there, that's what AI said I told him.
That's a great question, Brian. Thank you for that. Actually, I'm going to challenge you on this one, because
Good.
Do we want people to be phoning in all the time? Do we want people to feel empowered that they can solve the problems on their own? They're not calling to have a chit chat. They're calling because they have a problem that they can't fix on the road. They're calling because they're not empowered to have that connection with the customer and help the customer on their own 2 feet. If they were calling to have a chit chat, that'd be fantastic. But that is actually not the purpose of that call. We also, the people don't forget the humans on the other side of that call. They're not being called to have a chit chat and to have a human connection. They're called because they have to fix a problem. Now, do we want to empower our people on the road so they can fix the problems themselves? Yes, we do. Do we want to empower them so they can have a more fulfilling human connection with the customer? The customer will be happier because that person is able to fix that problem right away. Now, that makes me, as a deskless worker, more engaged in my job, more present in my job, more present with the customer. And that suddenly opens the door for exactly what you're referring to, this human connection. So now, when I talk to the people, my colleagues, I'm not there asking them for help for a problem. And by the way, people aren't asking. They're freaking out when they're calling because they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm in a problem. Help me now. There's like the stress levels are going up. They're not calling to have a social connection. So when they do call, then it is for a social connection. Then they do have the time and the presence of mind to have that, let's say, social time to spend with their customers and to spend with their colleagues. So I hope that kind of gets closer to your answer. I know it wasn't a question, it was more of a statement. And but I think it's really good to be aware that this is a potential crisis with all of us, by the way, that we're facing.
Yeah, no, I think you answered my question well enough. It's just we work in an engagement environment as a business, so our whole philosophy is to drive engagement with people, right across smartphones and people out of office. That's what we do. So that's why the question, it was how do you get the engagement part to work with the AI part? But I think you answered that question pretty well. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see that engagement is driven very much by, do I feel seen? Do I feel supported? Do I feel effective in my role? Thanks so much, guys. I know I'm out of time, so I'm just going to thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can reach out to the beautiful people at Unique, and I will be out there ready for these kinds of conversations in the future.
Thank you so much, Fiona. That really wraps up our session on empowering the deskless workforce with the use of AI. Thank you so much for this session, Fiona, and shedding some light on the transformative power of AI in this space. I think your insights were really insightful. There was a lot to take away from it. And to our attendees, thank you so much for joining us and exploring the world of deskless work with us. We really hope that you found this session insightful as much as I did. Thank you so much. Until we meet again next week, same time, same place. Thank you.